Hello and welcome to Greenbrier Consulting. This is the Getting Funded Master Video Series, and this is the video overview. Let me give you a little bit of background so you kind of understand what this is all about, how it came about, why we did this, why we created the Getting Funded Master Series. We deal with this issue every day. All right, we get phone calls from clients constantly, especially if we've done their business plan, perhaps their website or their video or their blog. The next step for them, of course, is going out and actually getting funded. So we get phone calls all the time about this. And we're constantly, spending time helping people understand and first getting them, to recognize some false assumptions that they may have been making about what the whole world of getting funded is all about. So, we kind of backed away from that in the beginning of 2016. We said, look, let's take a look and see what's really out there. And frankly, if you do a search on Google, for startup funding, getting funded, those sorts of searches, what you'll find is there's really not much out there, believe it or not. A lot of books, and articles and forums and so forth. But when it comes to a single source of information, primarily delivered obviously as a video, so you can use it efficiently, there's really not much out there. Okay, that's why we created the Getting Funded Master Series, so we can sell it independently to people who already have a business plan and a video and a website and so forth, or to include it in the startup packages that we deliver on our, Greenbrier Consulting website. All right, so let's get into this now and take a closer look. Okay, what are we exactly talking about here? All right, well, specifically, this is a 10 video system that enables your team to understand, access, and apply for all the funding that your startup requires, okay? And we've done what it takes, so it's everything in there, okay? I mean, it's just, important to understand that, okay? And we're talking about 4 hours of video, all right? All right, here's the outline of what you're gonna see, assuming that you move forward and actually get the Getting Funded series. First of all, of course, the introduction, so you understand what the whole thing is all about. Second, understanding funding. And again, the world of funding has changed rapidly, especially in the last few years. So what used to be true is not necessarily true today. And again, if you don't understand what the rules of the game are, the lay of the land, as they say, you're going to probably make mistakes, spend money that you shouldn't be spending, or if nothing else, at least wasting time that you shouldn't be wasting, okay? Then we're going to go through the primary funding types, and there's a total of 8. There's about 100 subsets of them, but there are 8 primary funding types for a business startup, okay? And again, we're going to do the detail, so you'll know as what we put, as what we say, where to go, what to do, and how to do it, okay? We're going to explain then in that master video for each one of these how it works, okay? So you'll understand, again, whether it's venture capital or a bank loan or, crowdfunding or whatever it is, so you'll understand exactly how it works, and they're all different, okay? There's rules of the road, and you're not dealing with a single company. You're dealing with an industry that over time has, grown up and essentially defined in and of itself how it works, okay? Next, we're going to help you understand how to get to the sources of that particular type of funding, okay? You can have a great business plan, website, video, etc., and you might even know, what to do, but if you can't get to the money sources, you're kind of wasting your time, all right? So we definitely provide separate information about that, okay? Next comes resource requirements, all right? And each one of these funding types has, over time, developed kind of a common law, rules of the road, so to speak, in terms of what's required. And that these resource requirements, what we're talking about here is, it's a business plan. or a video, or a website, or a blog, or some kind of social media, whatever it is, you need to understand what the requirements are, and not just list them, but understand in detail what it is we're talking about, so you'll know how to go get that set of requirements so you can participate without making mistakes or looking like a rookie. Okay? Next, we're going to explain to you how to apply to each one of them. Okay? So going after venture capital is totally different than going after a bank loan or crowdfunding or whatever. Okay? You need to know how to apply, all right, before you go do it, so you're not, again, wasting time or money. Finally, we're going to help you understand what to expect and when. In other words, this is a bidirectional information flow. You apply, they respond, you respond, they respond, and hopefully you ultimately get to where, you've got a funding deal. You need to know what those back and forth iterations are, and what to do, what to say, and essentially how to say it. We're going to give you all of that information about each of the 8 funding types. Okay, take a look at this. This is what's called the startup financing cycle. And again, not going to spend a lot of time on this, but we wanted you to understand that we're really doing this for the average guy on the street, man or woman, doing a startup. Because what this shows is, seed capital, and angels, and this is again, what would typically be of interest and importance, to some big multi-million-dollar software startup in Silicon Valley, where you've got, different early stage, late stage, mezzanine and IPO levels and so forth. But frankly, that's not, what the average man or woman is looking for. The average startup team is looking for a single point, a single source, typically to get something that's in most cases not even $100,000. It's 30, 40, 50, up to maybe 70 or 80,000. But it's not different stages or offerings or what have you. They're just looking to get the basic money, again, to do whether it be a frozen yogurt shop or maybe an auto service or, again, it could be, home cleaning or, landscaping. But because most of the startups are small business, okay? So we just wanted you to understand that's really the focus. Now, if you are a big player, a big time player, again, a lot of this information is not easy to come by in an organized fashion, so it's of importance to you as well. Okay, this is the most important slide relative to getting a startup funded that you will ever see, period. Let me explain what I mean by that. First of all, this is U.S. Department of Commerce data, so you can trust it, okay? If you look at the 4 on the right, that's venture capital, angel investors, banks, and crowdfunding. If you add them up, it's less than number 2, which is friends and family. And again, this is a shock to most people, because most people, if you ask the average guy on the street, where's the money come from, for startups in this country? Oh, they'll say, oh, it's venture capital or angel investors or banks. And it's not true. That's why it's important for you to know this. All right. And when you compare friends and family at 60 billion with personal savings at over 185 billion, you add those two together, it's huge. Okay. It's $250 billion with a T, $250 billion. All right. What that says is most businesses, most startups are done by money that you have access to, whether you know it or not. And I don't want to spend any time talking about personal savings and credit, but no, most people will tell you, I don't have any. I got a couple of $1,000. That's about all I could come up with. Not true. Believe it or not, the average man or woman on the street can come up with between $20,000 and $30,000 to do a startup. With average credit, maybe working a job, mom and dad both work, blah, blah, blah. Believe me, you have access to funding, when it comes to your own personal savings and credit that you didn't realize you have. And we go into that in great detail, okay? But again, wanted you to understand, okay? And if you look at crowdfunding, again, we have a separate master video about crowdfunding. If you look at crowdfunding on the right, Oh, that's getting a lot of big play these days, and everybody's talking about it, but it's still only 5 billion. Okay, now it's growing rapidly. It's going to be more than twice that this year. The point, though, is that it's just important for you to understand that you have the capability to fund your startup without the four on the right. Okay, what are the top 8 funding types? Obviously, as we said, personal funding is number 1. Friends and family is number 2. Then comes angel investors. And again, we're going to do a separate master video for each one of these, okay? Next comes venture capital. Next comes commercial debt. We're talking about bank loans here, okay? Then comes grant funding. We include it because it's still a factor in the world of getting funded, but grants are pretty much a waste of time, and we go into some detail about why that is, okay? Next is crowdfunding. That's the biggie. A lot of personal play on that. It's getting a lot of internet play and popularity. Why? Because it works. All right, and it's important for you to know what it's all about and how to do it. And finally, hard money lenders. And the first question we get asked when people see this is, well, what's the difference between a hard money lender and commercial debt? They're both debt based. They both involve a note, that carries interest that has to be paid back. The difference is hard money lenders are not banks, okay, which is commercial debt. Hard money lenders are private individuals or companies that are not licensed as banks, but they have money, and it's a totally different slice of that side of the world, okay? Why do they exist and why are they successful? Because it's easier to get in commercial debt, but it carries a very high interest rate. Okay, yeah, typical. I think prime now is about 9.5%. For hard money lenders compared to a bank loan or commercial debt, which is about half of that, about 5.5, something like that. Okay, so these are the top 8 funding types, and there is a master video for each one of them in the Getting Funded series. Okay, another way of looking at it, and just so you'll understand, again, there's 10 videos total. The 2 at the top, funding introduction, deliverable preparation, those are there because they apply to the whole library. Okay, and again, there's a total of 8 master videos, 1 each for each of the 8 primary funding types. And again, we go into all the detail, so you'll know where to go, what to do, and how to do it. Okay, the last thing that we do in each one of the videos is what's called a startup funding analysis, okay? And just so you'll know, we put it all together in a single graphic here, but we focus one at a time. So in each of the videos at the end, you'll see a summary introduction of the specifics, and again, these are rating characteristics, whatever you want to call them. If you look at on the left, the amount, the timeline, the probability of success, the process, the requirements, the indebtedness, the liability, and the equity cost, we go through each one of them for each funding type at the end of that particular master video. Okay, so when we focus on venture capital, as I just did, you'll see that the amount, meaning the reasonable upper limit for venture capital, is about 20 million. Yeah, it's true. There are venture capital deals done in this country for 100 million, but they're pretty rare. Okay, so reasonable upper limit is about 20 million. Timeline, again, this is typical, all right? It's going to be about 4 months. That assumes that you have all of what you need and you're not plodding along going back and forth, and doing a try as you go. Probability of success, if you have a good product or service, if it works, and you have all the requirements, again, the probability of success about 30%, which is pretty good. All right, that ranks about second, in all of these categories. The process is complex. All right, so just gird thy loins, as the man said. It's just going to take a while. The requirements are heavy, and you can't skimp on those. Venture capital, they're looking to see if you know what you're talking about, if you've done the research. They want to see that you have a video, that you have a business plan, that you have a website, and so forth. Okay. Indebtedness, there's none. Okay. Because again, venture capital is not a loan. You're not paying it back. You're essentially trading or giving up equity or shares of ownership of the company in exchange for the funding. Okay. The liability is corporate only, meaning you're not pledging any of your personal assets in exchange for this. What you're pledging is, again, shares of stock of the company. The equity cost minimum 20 to 38%. Okay. Now, again, that's for a small deal. If you're talking about something like 20 million, I got news for you. Venture capital at that level, they want 70% ownership. So your only way to really make big time money, if that's the deal, is to go public. And of course, that's what venture capital is looking for. Okay, and that's why they want that level of controlling interest. Okay, so we do this funding analysis for each of the funding types in that master video. Okay. All right. In summary, what we've got here is a 10 video master series. Again, 2 hours of privileged access to some of the most condensed and usable information about how to getting your business startup funded, and it's worth it. Okay. Now, what's it sell for? The video series price is $360. And that is a bargain of bargains, okay? Because we did some study group kinds of things to find out what people thought. Most people told us they thought that this video series would probably cost $1,200 or $1,500, okay? And again, most people know, they kind of know what the going rate is for things out there. Why did we price it so low? Well, simply because we wanted to get this into the hands of the maximum number of people. Okay, so if you come on our site and you're watching this, you've already got maybe a business plan and a video and a website. You're just looking to get funded. You can just purchase this outright. Okay. On the other hand, there are what we call acquisition alternatives, and that's what we meant on our homepage when we said click here, for free access to this. If you purchase one of our startup packages, in addition to a business plan, a funding promo video, and a website, logo and so forth, you'll also get permanent access without directly paying for it in that way. Okay, and we're talking about privileged video access. Okay, meaning you and your team will have password protected access to the video page on our website, so you can see all 10 of the videos, and you can click on them and play them over and over and over again. Okay, and it's permanent availability. So a year from now, 5 years from now, we're still going to be here. You might have another project, another startup. You can still come back and still watch all of the funding videos, and we will replace these videos with updated versions at least annually. Again, because these are moving targets and they change constantly. Okay, all right. Finally, getting started. All right. Give us a call. If you're sure you want to go ahead and make the purchase, we've got a buy now button, on the Getting Funded page on our website. Go ahead and get started and make the purchase. Give us a call if you want to talk about any of this. We'll be happy to talk to you about it. What we're trying to do, obviously, in addition to getting this information out to people, we're trying to save some man hours because we spend a ton of time on the phone talking to people about how to get funded. Okay, so this is a way to answer the majority of those questions in a very detailed and involved way, so you understand again where to go, what to do, and how to do it. Getting resources. Okay, with the exception of grants, which we kind of boo-hoo. I mean, grants are pretty much a waste of time now. But everything else, it is something that you can get directly from us. Again, whether it's a website, a video, a business plan, a blog, whatever, we provide all of those. Our company, Greenbrier Consulting, can do all of those. And again, we do them, if you're interested, as a startup package where you're getting a super discounted. In fact, in some cases, it's up to a 70% discount if you buy a getting started, getting funded, and you do a startup package with us. Again, it's all in there, and you get permanent access to the Getting Funded video series. Okay, finally, either call or click, go onto our website, which is Greenbrier Consulting with a hyphen. Check us out and give us a call with any questions that you might have. Well, this is it. We are frankly very proud of what we ended up producing in the Getting Funded series. And it's getting rave reviews. It's selling like hotcakes. And, we're solving the problem. And that helps, as many entrepreneurs as we possibly can. Okay? So that's it from all of us here at Greenbrier Consulting. This is CEO Jim Roberts saying, thanks for watching. Best of luck with your startup, and we'd be happy to talk to you anytime. Take care and make it a great day.